Good. Great. Let's go ahead and get started. Today is Tuesday, August 15th. The time is 10:02. So this is the day and time for the meeting of the Cannabis Advisory Commission. We're here at the CCB offices in Las Vegas, and we have at least a member through Zoom. So we'll go ahead and get started. Sarah, if you could do us the honors and call roll.
Member Berthelot? Present. Member Britton?
Here.
Member Carefield?
Here.
Attorney General Ford?
Craig Newby on his behalf.
Director Hughes?
Here.
Member Joy?
Here.
Member Rogich?
Here.
Member Spiritos? Member Terry?
Here.
Director Tagliati? Member Tom?
Here.
Chair Klimas?
Here. Great, thank you. And we'll just mark those who come in later that they're here. We'll now move into our first agenda items, public comment. I believe Amber is going to read off the Zoom information for those who are joining us through Zoom. After she does that, we'll go to any public comment in the room and then back to Zoom for folks who have put themselves in the queue. So Amber.
For those who would like to provide public comment via telephone, dial 669-444-9171. Enter meeting ID 885-5347-0671, followed by pound. Then enter password 224582, followed by pound.
Great, and while that's happening, we'll go ahead and go to public comment here in person in Las Vegas, if we have any in the room. All right, seeing none. Amber, do we have anybody in the queue online?
I see that no one has joined for public comment at this time.
Great, thanks, Amber. That'll take us to agenda item number 2. This is the introduction of new members. But first, I'd just like to say welcome. Congratulations on your appointment. It's great to have you all here. A lot of us were able to have some one-on-one meetings before here. I appreciate that. Very encouraged by the group that we have. Looking forward to the work that we have ahead of us. As you know, we've got a lot of work ahead of us. As we talked about, this meeting is going to be more of a kickoff. So it'll be a shorter meeting than normal, but this will get us started. We'll talk about the subcommittees, get the subcommittees moving, and then the work will begin. Say this is the second iteration of the Advisory Commission. All the public members are new. And so with that, I'd like to take this opportunity to say thank you on the record to the first iteration of the commission. We met for the first time in July of 21, and they embarked on a quite a long journey for consumption lounges, did a lot of great work, created a wonderful framework for consumption lounges. And I think that's significant as we sit here now on the doorstep of consumption lounges opening. So thank you to that first iteration of the Advisory Commission. But now on to the second. We have our own set of work and tasks to do that have been given to us and mandated by the legislature and others. Again, look forward to that work starting. And so to start, we'll do introductions. We'll go around the room. We'll go by alphabetical order as listed on the agenda, and then we'll end with some of the cabinet members. I'm going to jump ahead first and just introduce, a lot of you have met Sarah Tajali. She, on behalf of the Cannabis Compliance Board, staffs the commission. So Sarah, thank you for all the work that you do. And then the eye in the sky, who you heard the voice, Amber Verkler, our executive assistant. Thank you to Amber. Please use Sarah and Amber as a great resource for the commission on anything that you need, and they'll be here with us every step of the way. So with that, we'll do introductions around the table. It'd be great if you give us a little bit about your background, any thoughts that you have, what you're looking forward to, how you're related to the cannabis industry, anything you'd like to share. So with that, we'll start with you, Member Berthelot.
I'm Emily Berthelot. I'm an associate professor at UNR in the Criminal Justice Department. I'll be starting my 8th year there in just a week or so. My research tends to focus on disproportionate minority contact with the criminal justice system. So when the position spoke kind of directly to minorities being more likely to, basically somebody to talk about that, I thought I would be a good fit. I'm looking forward to working with you all.
Great, thank you. Member Britton?
Yeah, Mitch Britton. I've been in the cannabis space for going on 13 years now, originally from the Colorado market. I'm the managing partner and CEO of Thrive Cannabis Marketplace. So really excited to just put some of my, just at least my experiences to play here.
Wonderful. Fairfield?
Good morning. My name is Garrison Carrifield. I've been in I've been in the cannabis industry since 2008. I've pretty much I've managed all different aspects from dispensaries to cultivations, and I mainly focus on operations. And I've been in Nevada for the last 4 years. Thank you.
Member Joy?
Raleigh Joy. I've been here in the cannabis space in Nevada since the beginning, 2014. Started off with a family business and recently moved over to a new operation at GB Sciences, and very excited to be part of this and put some good work in.
It was great to visit your facility last week, was it?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was great. Member Rogich?
My name is Lori Rogish, and I am the owner of the Rogish Law Firm. I'm a proud graduate of Rutgers University and Rutgers Law School. I'm married, 3 children. I've been in the cannabis industry since 2014. I focus mostly on regulatory compliance and licensing, and I have a variety of clients. One in particular, we were able to secure 20 cannabis licenses in the state of Nevada. And throughout the years, I've established some strong working relationships with the municipalities and with the state regulators. And I'd like to give a special thanks to the governor for this appointment. I look forward to working with everyone, and hopefully I can bring my skills, voice, and experience to the industry and help maintain the stability and the safety of the product.
Great. Member Terry?
Good morning, Shane Terry, for the founder, CEO of Taproot Labs. And good to see some familiar faces here since the program started in 2014. I guess since then I've represented some veteran communities, being a previous vet myself, small business, been involved in the arts district around downtown Las Vegas, previous president of the Nevada Dispensary Association before it was the Nevada Cannabis Association, and looking forward to working with you all.
Member Tung?
Hi, morning. It's Chow Jung Tong. I'm one of the few in the field. The license, we only have 10 labs in Nevada. I got involved in the first round, in 2014. So we put a lot of efforts into formulate how to test to ensure the public safety. I hope our background and our experience can contribute more to the public.
Great, thanks. And Craig, did you want to say anything?
Sure. My name is Craig Newby. I'm the first Assistant Attorney General. I'm here for Attorney General Ford, who's a member of this commission and unfortunately who's traveling at this moment. But he wanted me to convey his support for this commission and appreciate the hard work that everyone here has agreed to do and offering for our office to do our part in terms of doing the work that's contemplated by this commission. So thank you all.
Director Hughes?
I am Shelley Hughes, Director for the Department of Taxation. I was a chief deputy when the ballot initiative passed and cannabis first came under taxation. And now we have just a small role of collecting the taxes. But I'm happy to be here and happy to meet all of you.
Yeah, small is relative. Director Tagliati, he let me know he's running a few minutes late, which is why I put him next to me, because I had a feeling, so he's going to have to come sit in next to me. And then my name is Tyler Klimas. I'm the Executive Director of the Cannabis Compliance Board. I was appointed in late 2019 as the first Executive Director of the Cannabis Compliance Board. Myself, along with a great team, launched the agency in 2020. So we recently celebrated our third anniversary as an agency, and honored to chair this commission as part of my duties as the executive director. And again, I'll reiterate, looking forward to the work that we have ahead of us. So wonderful. We'll move on to agenda item number 3. This is the establishment of new subcommittees. And Again, we all got to talk a little bit about the subcommittee structure, but I think it's worth kind of revisiting that a little bit for the public and make sure the record's clear on how this commission operates and how we operate using and utilizing the subcommittees. Subcommittees are small, more focused groups made up of commission members, as you know, and members outside of the commission. This is where most of the groundwork of the commission gets done. These are smaller bodies focused on particular tasks. They can meet more frequently. And then when work product is done out of the subcommittees, it is brought to the greater commission. And this commission is the one that votes to send any final work product from the commission back either to the board or the governor or the legislature, whatever the ask or the mandate is. A recent example for context would be consumption lounges. Consumption lounges were authorized out of the 2021 legislative session. The board then asked the commission, this body, to study consumption lounges and come back with the framework. We created a number of subcommittees around public health, public safety, social equity. Those over 12 to 15 months met over 15 times, bringing in experts into the subcommittees, doing a lot of work, creating that framework, which was then brought back to the commission. Commission then packaged it, voted on it, sent it to the board. A couple workshops later, that's where we have our framework for consumption lounges. And so that's really a great example of how this commission works. This commission's job is to advise the board. It's to advise the governor. It's to advise the legislature. There are times where this commission will bring up things that have not been asked of it, if there are issues, and there's a process for that as well. We feel like it's important to study and make some recommendations. So, although there are no lounges this year, we do have some smaller tasks coming out of the legislative session that we do need to address in the short term, at least one with a pretty tight timeline. And then there's some just broader goals that I think this commission will need to study and continue to get its finger on the pulse of so we can make good policy recommendations both to the governor, the board, and the legislature, or all three. So with that, the three subcommittees that we've created to get us started, they're going to reflect the mandates and the asks that we have in front of us. The first subcommittee will be the subcommittee on the scheduling of cannabis. This comes out of Senate Bill 277, which I know we have some folks in the room who worked very hard on 277 here. The bill does a number of things, but one of those things is to ask and mandate the advisory commission to study potential effects on state laws and regulations if cannabis were to be removed from the list of controlled substances in Schedule 1, either from the state or the federal level. It's also going to look at recommendations for changes to the manner in which cannabis is regulated and taxed in Nevada to ensure the continued growth, and this is a quote, continued growth and success of the industry if cannabis were to be removed from the list of controlled substances in Schedule 1. So it's a large task. You can envision that it goes much beyond just those two prescriptive questions. We could potentially look at interstate commerce, which would be a result or a potential result of any kind of move on a reschedule or deschedule of cannabis, et cetera. And again, what that does to our marketplace and how we as a state, as a board, can prepare for that. Included in that ask is a report that'll be due to the legislature, and it'll be due on March 1st of 2024. So again, not a lot of time to get that report together. So this subcommittee will likely begin meeting right away and meet fairly frequently before at least the end of the year. Any kind of draft report, whether it be bullet points, broad policy ideas, whatever comes out of that subcommittee will need to come back to this commission. So this commission will have the ability to review that, make its own observations, make its own suggestion and tweaks, and then we would look to draft that and finalize that by March of next year. The next subcommittee that we've created is a subcommittee on public safety and the illicit market. Part of the duties of this subcommittee will also comes out of some legislation from this last legislative session, Senate Bill 328, which also did a number of things. But Senate Bill 328 envisions a regulatory framework around unlicensed cannabis activities. That includes penalties for unlicensed cannabis activities. It envisions procedures by which the board may impose those penalties. So what does that civil penalty structure look like? And then circumstances and procedures for referring matters of unlicensed cannabis activities to the appropriate state and local law enforcement, and then hopefully again downstream what prosecution on some of that looks like. So obviously a big challenge, something that was discussed a lot during the legislative session. It's top of mind for us. It's top of mind for cannabis operators and regulators nationwide. So I think there's going to be some important work product coming out of that subcommittee. I appreciate certainly the Attorney General's office for having a representative on that, the Department of Public Safety for having a representative of that. Those are our key stakeholders that will need to be involved in this as we look to begin to take steps to combat the illicit market. Outside of that regulatory framework, which is mandated in legislation, just taking a greater view of the illicit market and how we combat that, how we identify any gaps that exist, how we close those gaps will kind of be the long-term goals of that subcommittee. And then finally, the subcommittee on market participation. So this subcommittee is going to review and make recommendations on matters relating to a greater participation in the industry. So participation by women-owned businesses, minority-owned businesses, veteran-owned businesses, LGBTQ-owned businesses, and local agriculture. One of the short-term tasks will also be to create or at least recommend the creation of a pilot program which identifies opportunities for emerging small cannabis businesses. And that includes new and existing emerging small cannabis businesses. And in fact, the subcommittee will even work to define what an emerging small cannabis business is: gross revenue, number of employees. Member Terry, I appreciate your willingness to chair that as a veteran yourself, and you own a number of cannabis licenses. I think you're going to be well positioned to lead some conversations on that. So perfect. Certainly look forward to that, and thank you for that. Some of the longer term goals of the market participation, we will be proceeding in the next 60 days with a outside third party market study of the cannabis market in the state. This is the goal here is to just look at the health of our market in general, supply, demand, tax structures, and the illicit market. If we can get our hands around what the illicit market is, how big it is, or at least begin to have some numbers that give us an idea of the size of the illicit market, I think it's going to help all these subcommittees have a little more to chew on in their duties, working through it. But I think market participation in this particular subcommittee will be a great avenue to digest that report when it's done and make any policy recommendations coming out of that. So those are the three. I know you all received an email from Sarah about your participation. Thank you again for your willingness to participate on these subcommittees. I will tell you, these are not going to be the only subcommittees that we have. These are just the three that are going to get us started and take care of some of the mandates that we had coming out of the legislative session. There are things we know about that we will need to either create subcommittees or working groups around. The beauty of this commission is that it's very flexible in design. But there's also going to be things, as you know, that we don't know that are going to come around the corner, and that this body will likely be asked by the board, or the legislature, or the governor, or by us to study and make some recommendations. And so, again, this gets us kickstarted and gets us on our way. With that, any questions on the subcommittee structure? Any questions on how the subcommittees interact with the commission?
I have one small question.
Yes.
You referenced the outside third-party market study. What's the timeline for them to have some work product for us on these subcommittees?
So we've given them as part of the contract 6 months, Sarah, is that correct? So 6 months. It was approved recently at IFC, the money to start. We'd already done the RFP, selected the vendor, so that'll get started hopefully again in the next 30, 60 days. So, you know, April in a perfect world, we've got that report, but certainly by the first half or second quarter of next year, we should have some of that. And I will just say in an ideal world, that's something we do on a regular basis. There is nothing that we're after as far as the results of that study. It's just being smart for all of us to have a good analysis on the marketplace as a whole. And hopefully something we can do on a regular basis and gives us something to work off. So thanks for that question, Chris. Any other questions? Okay, this is moving along pretty quickly. I told you it would be, but Well, with that, we can move on then to agenda item number 4. That's future meetings. And really, again, as we've all discussed, this body will meet as a whole when there is essentially something to meet on and discuss and deliberate. So the subcommittees will begin to meet immediately. The chairs of each of the subcommittees are in charge of setting the agenda and scheduling those meetings. You'll get emails from Sarah. Sarah will facilitate a lot of that. And then when there is work product that comes out of the subcommittees, that's when the commission meets as a whole to discuss that. Now, given that the study on the scheduling of cannabis is due March 1st, I could see this commission coming back potentially before the end of the year or shortly thereafter, the first of the year, to look at some of the product that came out of that subcommittee. And then, obviously stand by in case anything else comes out or we get requested by another body to meet, then we would meet. And obviously we'll give you as much advance notice as we possibly can on that.
Question.
Yes.
Apologize if I missed it, but was there chairs appointed for the other 2 committees? And then how are like the member allocations between the different subcommittees?
Sure. So we still have a couple. So all the commission members have been placed. We still have a couple empty slots to fill. So we'll likely send out a list. Yours is filled. Obviously, that's why you knew. But we'll send out a list of all the 3 subcommittees and all their appointments, and we'll make that public, of course, as soon as we fill that out.
So thank you.
Yeah.
About the availability for spots?
Say again?
Availability for spots to be filled on the subcommittees?
Yeah, so we've got a couple spots that are open, but they've been, so we've sent out requests to fill those. But if we have not filled them, obviously your input's very important on that, and we'll send that out so you know.
And are we able to participate in those meetings as well?
Absolutely. Absolutely. The statute limits them to 5. I wish they were more, but that's just what the statute says. But I hope, and I think that's, part of your role, you could argue as a commissioner, that you're involved in that. And I think the subcommittees would welcome that. We'll certainly provide for that. But I think the more engagement we can get from everybody, and obviously you are all industry experts, the more the better.
Okay.
And I think all the subcommittees and the chairs of the subcommittees would appreciate that as well. You'll all be aware of when the subcommittees meet, how often they meet. Electronic participation is available, as is in person. So great question.
Thank you.
Anything else? Okay. Well, fair enough. With that, we'll move into agenda item number 5. This is the final public comment. Amber, is there anybody queued up online that would like to provide some public comment?
For those who have joined via Zoom, if you would like to provide public comment via telephone, dial *9 to raise your hand. Caller with the last 4 digits 9392, dial *6 to unmute, and please state your name for the record. You may begin.
Hello, my name is Dan. Thank you all for your work. I think medical home growers should be allowed more cannabis possession.
Right, thank you for that. Amber, is there anybody else online?
There are no more callers online.
Right. I'd also like to add, just before we finish public comment here, is that the subcommittees are also public meetings, so similar to this one. So members of the public will be able to come to all the subcommittees, just like in the last iteration, provide public comment, et cetera. And so just so everybody's aware. And participation from the public is obviously encouraged in those. Any public comment here in Las Vegas? When you're ready?
Yeah, Yes, good morning, everyone. My name is Christina Ullman. I go by Tina, Tinaulman. And just wanted to say we are so thrilled for this to be happening. I'm the co-founder and the president of the Chamber of Cannabis, the largest business trade organization ran by leaders and professionals in the industry who want to grow commerce well, restore justice, and build up our community. So we have been advocating for this for a while and just want to extend ourselves as a resource. If you need to do research outside of your subcommittee, our volunteer board touches every single sector of the industry, from cultivation, production, retail, accounting, activism, compliance, sales, and marketing. And we all love and respect this plant and our community. So super excited to see this and just want to thank the CCB for executing this meeting. Thank you.
I would note that Tina also participated on a subcommittee as part of the consumption lounge process, and certainly appreciate your work there. Any other public comments here in Las Vegas? Okay. Fair enough, efficient. Before we adjourn, I did not introduce Chrissy Harris, and so I just wanted to introduce Chrissy. She is the commission counsel for us. She's also the board counsel for the Cannabis Compliance Board from the Attorney General's office. If you have any questions on open meeting law, anything like that, which is, not the easiest thing to digest, even for me, and I use Chrissy a lot, please, feel free to reach out to Chrissy. She's wonderful. So thanks, Chrissy, for being here. All right. Well, with that, thanks, everybody. Look forward to get started, and we are adjourned.